Say yes every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
Thank you for joining us today for Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are joined by the incredible Ann Noble. She is the branch manager at Preferred Mortgage Financial. First off, Ann, thank you so much for saying yes to being here with us today and for sharing all of your wisdom. What we like to do here is we like to kind of go a past, present, and future. So the first question we would love to hear is, what would you say is the best advice you received from someone? And I'd love to hear who shared it with you.
Well, thank you, Laura. I appreciate getting to chat with you once again over the years. I've always enjoyed talking with you. Yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years now. It's hard to believe that it's been that long, actually a little over 20 years. But thinking back on that question, gosh, I would have to say it was with my first broker that I worked with. His name was Tex Curtis. And I still hear from him every now and again. But he had trained me on a niche specialty, which was on manufactured homes. At the time, it was definitely a niche where a lot of people weren't doing it. And, he says, if you learn this and promote it, you'll do well on it. You just got to get yourself out there. Okay. So that's what I did. And granted, I learned on, how to do single family homes, modulars, condos, whatever. But that was always a specialty niche that I kept in my back pocket, was on manufactured homes. And up until the last, I guess about 3, 4, 5 years, when everybody and their grandma seemed like they wanted to start doing them then, nobody else wanted to do them. So I just kept on doing them.
I love that because, well, a couple of things there, right, Ann? So the first thing is anyone can tell you, hey, you should, I always like to say the riches are in the niches, right? Mm-hmm. Because so many times people say, oh, you should, specialize in this, but most people don't do it. Most people say, oh, it's complicated, or they blow up, or they take too much time, or there's not a lot of lenders doing them, so it could be a little troublesome and things like that. But you kind of were open to that, right? So I'm kind of hearing that you were open to the opportunity and you learned your craft. Back when you started 20 years ago, to your point, there weren't a lot of people specializing in that particular type of property. And there are nuances. There are nuances that you need to know, about your engineer certs, and you need to know about IBTSs, and you need to know about flood zones, and you need to understand that a lot of people that own manufactured homes, it's a little bit of a different, demographic, so to speak, than other, right? Now, I can tell you, and me and you have had this conversation before, I love that community. I think it's very, very grassroots, very, reminiscent of just, that pride in home ownership and really just the joy of watching someone, be able to purchase that home. So the fact that you executed on it, you stuck with it to even all these years, you're still an expert in those types of loans. So that's great. So it's not just getting the advice, it's executing on the advice and really, really becoming that expert in it.
And actually trying to get agents to understand what your niche is. So if you can find whatever niche that you specifically like whether it's renovation loans, which I like to do those. I like to do construction loans. And these were things that I would promote and still do on a regular basis, that make you stand out in a crowd. I mean, if you got a bunch of mortgage people that you are surrounded by, I mean, I'm in the Charleston, South Carolina area. And, when I first moved down here, you know, 18 years ago, I was told, well, mortgage brokers are a dime a dozen, so you got to stand out in the crowd. Okay. So that's what I did. I mean, instead of kind of blending in and, saying, well, I can do this. Well, I'm like, yeah, well, so can every other mortgage broker and local bank. Everybody can do your FHA, VA, USD, and conventional loans. But it's when you start thinking outside of the box and start promoting things that other places don't do and learning all the nooks and crannies and insides and outs and guidelines and who can do this and that and who does the lending best on it with the least amount of overlays, then those are the things that you want to grasp a hold of, learn well, and promote and let these agents understand what your craft is and how you can do it well and what you can do to help them get more loans and homes sold.
And that leads me to our present question about how you're applying it. So let's go a little bit deeper on what you said there. So how do you go about educating the realtors and your referral partners in terms of saying, I am the expert. I have all this experience. I know the guidelines. I know the best place to go with your loan to make sure that, the borrower is taken care of and it's easy and I can guarantee and know that we're going to get to that closing table on time and efficiently. So how do you do that with your referral partners?
Well, I mean, for years, so let's scale back a little bit. So if you have a newbie as far as an agent, I mean, a mortgage person who's just learning the craft and they've found their specialty niche and they're learning more and more about it and they want to try to promote it. The biggest thing that I had found when I was in the younger years is I would actually go to open houses and meet the individual agents, because a lot of times I felt like when I would drop off stuff at the local offices, you kind of got your gatekeeper and you can drop stuff off. But I mean, okay, well, they're probably going to file 13. But when you go to a open house, you got an agent who is there and, unless if they're really busy, they're just kind of sitting around twiddling their thumbs and they're happy to have somebody to talk to give them something to do for the next 2 hours. Unless if somebody comes in and you never know, you might end up partnering up with that particular agent later on down the road for doing an open house. But while you're there, you can start chatting with them, letting them know that, hey, you can ask them what they find that they are having issues with. What do you have a problem getting financing on? What do you see that, you think that you would like to have something done better for somebody, and you maybe spread out on that particular niche as well. See what the agents are saying, work on that one and build it up. But once you have your specialty niche that you're really trying to promote, and that you are not somebody who, that everybody else and their grandma's doing it. What I used to do is I would have like lunch and learns.
Oh, okay.
To get like a group of agents to come together, where, like I said, up until about 5 years ago or pre-COVID, a lot of agents were reluctant on doing manufactured homes. So I would have them come in and I would basically explain to them, say, look, I know this is a different beast. These are some things you need to check for. These are some things, to make sure that in order for us to close quickly, make sure these are done. We don't have any issues. So in that way, it's me trying to help them help me for the future.
Yep.
So in that way, it goes easier.
That's awesome. I love that advice. That's great. All right. So now let's go into the future. So you told us about Texas advice and kind of how you took that to heart and you executed on that. We'd love to hear, Anne, what is your piece of advice that you would like to give your words of wisdom to everyone that's listening to this today?
So going back to Tex Curtis's wise wisdom, when I used to go out to the open houses and sending out flyers, and like I said, this is 20 years ago, he would always tell me, you're sowing seeds, you're sowing seeds. One of these days, you're going to be reaping what you sow. And he was right. He was absolutely right. Nowadays, I can have agents call me and say, hey, I've heard about you, for years. I've always wanted to work with you. I have a question. Of course, they think I can only do manufactured homes.
Right.
But so they have an opportunity. And so my name is well known in the Charleston area. But it's just getting your name out there. And the thing is, you got to keep your name out there, because if you start to disappear, then they forget about you. Last November, I actually had my Facebook hacked,
Oh,
and it was gone for
oh,
like a month. So I had to completely rebuild it. And I could tell, instead of me posting all the time on Facebook about promotional things for this or that or rates or whatever, and then I was gone, I could tell a nosedive in my applications and calls coming in, until I could start getting back in there and, start getting the connections back. Because I actually had some people reach out to me and like, are you not in the business anymore? I'm like,
wow.
I am. And I explained
See?
everything that happened. And oh, so it's definitely important to keep your name out there. If you want to do well, don't just try to do like a quick blitz. For okay, here we go, here I am, and then that's all you do. Definitely keep your name out there. Do promotions. Keep in contacts with agents, especially ones that you have met and worked with in the past, even if it's just a simple Christmas card of like Merry
Yeah.
Christmas at this time frame. Um, Same way with attorneys, same way with past clients. It's just, making sure, always keep your connections, don't burn any bridges, definitely make sure you're calling people back, to call you. Very important to do those things.
Listen, you said something that we all need to be reminded of, is that, every single day we're taking action, we're doing things, but it may not result in an instant response. You have to keep doing that, because that level of action will result in something, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe 3 years from now. You don't know. But if you're
Right.
not planting those seeds and taking that action, I promise you, nothing's growing in the future. So to your
Correct.
point, and then of course, relationships are everything. I mean, look at us, right? I mean, we've known each other for many, many
10
years.
years plus.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. And
Mhm.
regardless of whether we speak to each other or not, we're still connected. And
Right.
it's so vital that we do kind of circle back to each other every once in a while, because number one, as a human factor, we all need that. We all need a human connection. We all need that part. And the business will come once you have the human connection.
Correct.
I love it. And you are amazing as always. And my best part is that I got to spend time with you, and that's the most glorious thing. But we appreciate you sharing your wisdom. And I love that we give the shout out to Tex. That is absolutely amazing. I love that we're recognizing other people that have brought insight into all of our lives. Wishing you all the best always. Thank you.
Thank you so much.